more minute?
Yeah, we can wait. We can wait just a little bit. We can start the process by, if anybody joins this, you've seen us over the last number of weeks. John Hockaday, we've got guests in the house, and he's not going to be available today. So you're going to have to, if you want to see his smiling face, you're going to have to come back in a couple of weeks. So John's busy entertaining some people in from Kansas. So we've actually invited them to stick their head in the room as well. So we may have that. So I guess this is all good morning to those of you in Central Time Zone and West, and good afternoon for those of you in the Eastern Time Zone and farther east. So I know that we had, at least originally, we had signed up, we had some people all clean across the spectrum. So looks like we've got a good topic. And again, we'll just give everybody a few more minutes. I know we were expecting somewhere between 18 and 20 people up here, so we'll give them a little bit of time to get themselves ready. We'll probably get this thing started in the next minute or so, and they can chime in when they catch on. So some of this stuff is going to be things that we've covered over the past. So as you know, our format, we've got some people here that are new, and just wanted to share with them of what we've gone over through real quick. So are we ready? Okay, we'll get her going. And just have some respect for everybody's time. Again, we talk about the four basics of a medical savings account that tend to be universal no matter what. And again, they all come with no networks. And as we go forward with the benefits of the medical savings account, the no network issue has proven time and time again to become one of the more valuable pieces of this equation. As we go out there in the MA space, a lot of times we get those zero premium plans out there, but they're tied to a limited panel of doctors and hospitals. The value of being able to walk into any Medicare approved provider is unbelievable, and truly it's a deal maker. And people really enjoy the fact that they can walk into a Medicare approved provider in any of the 50 states and to get qualified and competent medical attention is unbelievable. And again, this is systemic with all medical savings account. The same as a zero premium. All MSAs have to have a zero premium affiliated with them. So again, the combination of no networks and zero premium, again, it's enticing to an awful lot of people. The no prescription drug plan included is also a CMS dictate. So when we take a look at some of the MA products out there, the MAPD products, the formulary sometimes is just not in the best interest of our client, with the fact that we do not have a PDP plan associated with this. We can literally go to the number of plans available in your state, and they can have the best possible plan that it works out best for their formulary. I know that we've got 26, 27 plans here in the state of Illinois. And I've always enjoyed the fact where I can sit there and provide something when I sell this in Illinois, the best PDP plan that they need. And as well, the annual deposit. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this annual deposit, because I think a year from now, as we get more history with this, until we hit AEP, we really didn't know what was going to be the number one best, most valuable player when you start talking about the no network, zero premium, no prescription drug plan, or the annual deposit. Clearly, the no networks has been the number one piece of the equation. People have really come to enjoy that freedom. Second, I think that in a year from now, we're going to be talking about this annual deposit. This past year, the annual deposit for 2019 for the entire year was $2,520. The Medicare approved amount on services that we get from either a doctor or a hospital is quickly going to become our most valuable player going forward. What I mean by that is this. You've heard me talk about some EOBs that we've actually had in-house, where we've had a broker that went out and had $1,178 worth of billed charges on lab work that she spent a few hours in a lab having tests run And those $1,178 in billed charges was reduced to $58.78. I've got brokers out there that are sending me piece after piece of the billed charges versus the Medicare approved amount. And I think going forward, besides the no networks, the annual deposit of $2,520 this year actually represents a much greater value going forward. We've had a number of people that knew, for example, that they were going to have a test coming up, or knew that they were going to have something going on in their world, and that were a little bit hesitant, not realizing the true value. When a doctor says that, no, the colonoscopy is typically about $6,000, he's talking about $6,000 of billed charges. The Medicare approved amount for many colonoscopies, for example, is much less than $1,000. And in fact, the one we looked up for this particular doctor in the Hammond, Indiana area was $359, as opposed to the $6,000 that come piping out of his mouth when the beneficiary started speaking about, what's this going to cost me? Well, they're very familiar with their billed charges and very unfamiliar with the Medicare approved amount. It is going to become, I think, in the next year or so, one of the hot topics that we have to become very familiar with. To the point, New Horizons Marketing is working with Lasso, and we're working on something of an addition to the website, where you can actually put a CPT code into an area and get the Medicare approved amount back, or an approximation of that Medicare approved amount. Because again, there's shy of 40,000 CPT codes out there. Of colonoscopies, for example, I think that they told me that there was like 2 pages of colonoscopies. And so we basically went back and got the CPT code specific to this person to get that $359 charge, as opposed to the $6,000 quote that was coming out of the doctor's office. So again, when we talk about the basics, we start putting more arrows inside your quiver. What's going to be the important talking points to your clients? No networks is going to be huge. The zero premium going to be huge. The no PDP plan, that we can sit there and put a specific good formulary product for your individual drugs, is going to be super. But that annual deposit, we're going to become more and more familiar with what it can purchase going forward. So from that, we move again. Everybody has seen this. I think it's also hugely important to know that the target market for this is getting wider and wider. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time, just a minute or so, talking about the hospital indemnity plans. We're not ready to enroll it for Lasso yet, but I will tell you that Lasso is developing for midsummer release a hospital indemnity plan that dovetails with this. And what I mean by that is, there's going to be an amount of money, somewhere between $2,000 and $6,000, that your beneficiary can purchase for a premium that will be paid in the event of an overnight hospital stay. So if I select, say for example, I've got my health and I've not quite got all the money that I need, I can purchase a hospital indemnity plan that will ease the burden of me making that decision about whether I need to go with a Lasso MSA plan or not. I feel good, I'm healthy, but that just bothers me a little bit that I could have some exposure out there. We can purchase a hospital indemnity plan that over the first hospital night stay, it will pay me the face amount. If I'm in for any less than a 24-hour period, it will pay me 50%. Again, not given any credence to the fact that we may or may not have already spent some of our deductible or our annual deposit. So again, that money is meant to offset the total exposure. And I think we'll be obviously putting on some seminars or webinars or question and answers regarding that product when it gets released. I can share with you that CMS has rarely have they allowed a second year Medicare Advantage product to expand. Now I can't tell you the states, but I can tell you that there's 10 states that have requested that the Lasso piece, and CMS has granted expansion for Lasso in the second year in business. And what does that mean back to you? It means that it's got some competent people at the top. It's a money maker. It's a profitable product, which is very good as well, priced reasonably with a reasonable deposit and a sensible deductible. And again, the plan that is laid out in front of CMS, they said, yes, Lasso, you can go ahead and expand the states that showed interest. There will be about 10 additional states that we'll be able to let people know about in the near future. What we've got here is a letter from Optum Bank, and one of the things we have to realize that it is an unusual relationship between Lasso Healthcare and Optum Bank. Not that unusual in the way that we should be afraid of it, but that Optum Bank does not share any data or any information about a claim with Lasso, and Lasso cannot share any information with Optum Bank. These are two standalone pieces. That's why we have an application from Optum Bank. That's why we have an application on the form for Lasso Healthcare. By law, the Health Insurance Patient Portability Act, HIPAA, forbids these two organizations from communicating back and forth. So if someone that buys an MSA from you has questions regarding Optum Bank, it doesn't do us any good to send them to member services. Optum Bank has a dedicated 800 number as well that is on the website that people can go there and get some help straight into their member services. If it's a Lasso question that we need to get taken care of regarding anything, billing, customer service, provider information, Lasso has dedicated numbers going that way as well. When people are accepted into Lasso, they receive this letter. Obviously, it's got their names and their addresses on it, but this is the exact letter that your people will receive. And it would say, Dear Steve, thank you for opening your MSA with Optum Bank, member FDIC. And then it goes down to talk about how you register your account. And it's important for the people to register their account. It's how Optum's going to identify you. It's how you're going to identify yourself when you call in. It's just going to be the way that everybody recognizes each other. Checking your mail as well, because again, under a couple of different circumstances, if we want to know what our account balances are, Optum Bank provides this online on a monthly basis. If we opt for paper, or if we opt for something mailed to us, we can do that on a quarterly basis. So my advice to anybody out there that is a little bit computer savvy is set up that online account and just become familiar with it. And in fact, that's line item 3. It just says get familiar with your MSA and know some of the options that are out there. As we talked about many times, under many different phone calls, and question and answer, that we do have options over and above with our Optum MSA account. We're going to get into that. But this is just a copy of the letter that everybody gets. You can see what the Optum MasterCard looks like right there on the right-hand side of the screen. It's simply a debit card. It looks like every other debit card that's out there. I've seen many of them. It's got a number. I've helped clients call Lasso to confirm the fact that we've got the Medicare approved amount, turned around, hung up, and called the provider and paid with the debit card right over the phone. The total process is less than 5 minutes. So it's not perfect, but it's a good system set up so far. So this is what the letter looks like. And again, this is simply a little bit of an expansion of what it looks like right there. I was wanting to try to get a picture of that Optum card next, but just to kind of give everybody an idea that that's what just looks just like a credit card. And what we've got basically are just some questions that we've dealt with over the past with some brokers out there that we just wanted to get into across everybody. It says, can a member choose a custodial account other than Optum Bank? And the answer is yes. Initially, on January 2nd of this past year, 2019, that's when Optum Bank that's when Lasso got the money from CMS and almost instantaneously funded all the accounts eligible for January 1st. literally from the point that moment that money showed up in these accounts, that Optum Bank card literally had $2,520 on it that could have been transferred into another custodial account. There's a number of them out there across the country that handle HSAs, flexible spending accounts, MSAs. The one thing that I've always enjoyed about Optum Bank is that Lasso has negotiated with them, and as long as we have a Lasso Healthcare product in place, there are no service fees associated whatsoever with your Optum Bank account. Lasso has picked those up. What do I mean by that? There typically can be a monthly service fee. There can be for any interaction, for example, like there can be a service fee based on the amount of money that's inside the account. All of those numbers are waived with Optum and would become total responsibility of the beneficiary going forward if they got out of the Optum Bank account and went to another HSA, MSA custodial account. So there's a lot of benefit to staying with Optum Bank. Again, no service fees. They take care of the tax paperwork. They'll get it back to you. They can provide monthly online statements, quarterly paper statements. It just seems to be a very worthwhile opportunity to stay with an organization that we've negotiated all the service fees out of. Now, in the event that after the course of, say, 10 years, I have $10,000 built up inside my Optum Bank account, my MSA, and I choose to go to a Medicare supplement product, okay? That $10,000 inside my Optum Bank account still remains with the beneficiary in perpetuity, okay? It never leaves them. When they leave the Lasso fold, the MSA, they will begin receiving service charges to that account. It will be service account free of charges as long as they're Lasso Healthcare members. Once they leave the Lasso fold, they will then at that point begin to see some Optum Bank service charges. So initially the member must select Optum Bank. After the funds are deposited into the Optum Bank account, the member is free to move their funds to a custodial account of their choosing. There's several of them. Any custodial fees, minimum balance amounts, and other fees would be the member's total responsibility. Again, just to reiterate the fact, it does not matter because any institution by HIPAA rules will not be allowed to sit there and give information to Lasso. So any place that we go, I cannot call up Lasso looking for Optum Bank information any more than I can call Optum Bank looking for Lasso information. Two separate entities designed specifically by CMS for this. And this goes back to our second question that I get a lot: does Optum Bank charge an administrative fee? And again, we answered that in the last slide, and the answer is no, as long as I hold an account with the Lasso Healthcare MSA plan. Okay, so it's pretty simple. All fees are going to be picked up by Lasso. What they've not negotiated out of there, they've paid for themselves. So just for your information, as long as they're Lasso Healthcare members, it will be free of charge. Is the Optum Bank MSA account interest bearing? Okay, the answer is yes on several different fronts. If I do nothing other than just to house my money inside my Optum Bank debit account card, based on the balance, I am going to receive a modest interest rate. I think if you go to the website, it breaks down, for example, less than $500 inside your MSA account receives X amount. 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, 5 to 10, and you get the picture. The more money inside the account, a little bit greater the interest rate. That is a floating number. That is a floating number, so I did not get any interest numbers to put on the screen today. I do not want these to be broadcast out there. When your members sign up and have a Lasso account, they can go inside their member portal. They will be able to find out specifically what the interest rate that their account is earning. Now, everybody's heard me talk about that The member can also invest funds in excess of $2,000. I counted today 31 mutual funds that the people would have access to in the event that they wanted to sit there and invest any dollars beyond 2,000. Now, again, for 2019, we had the deposit was $2,520. I do not know, and they will not share with me, if any of the members that bought into the Lasso product actually invested any of those $520. But again, remember, it's got to be any balances over the $2,000 number. So basically, we'd be looking at a very minimal amount of money year one, regardless, $520. Now, a year from now, when that second deposit lands on top of monies that I had accrued during year one, now we could be talking about having the possibility of somewhere of $5,000 to $5,500. Again, I would have to keep $2,000 separate. I'd have a $3,000 account that I could sit there and select one of the mutual funds that both that matched as closely as possible to my risk tolerance. Some people are going to be risk averse, and some people are going to be all in for whatever they can get. But again, even if my balance is $5,000 a year from today, $2,000 of that has to stay inside the debit card. $3,000 would be eligible to be put at an interest rate over and above the minimum what I'd be receiving on the debit card. That money that accrues interest grows tax-free, specifically to be added to your account you take with you, and you will enjoy all the tax advantages that your MSA account has got going forward. So you're accruing money tax-free to be utilized to offset future expenses inside the healthcare arena. Again, if there's any questions, feel free. But again, the interest rates are on a floating basis. I think they all base themselves on a what they call an NAV. I used to know what all that stuff stood for, but it changes on a daily basis. Net asset value, I think, is what that stands for. Does Optum Bank provide online statements or paper statements? And again, I apologize, but I've answered a few of these questions. If I'm an online member user with Optum Bank, I can get a online statement on a monthly basis. If I prefer a paper statement, those will be taken care of on a quarterly basis. Okay. If someone is enrolled in an MSA and a standalone PDP, can they use their deposit tax-free to pay for the Part D deductible and co-pays or co-insurance? And does it qualify toward their Lasso plan deductible? Per the IRS, they are able to utilize the MSA funds on a tax-free basis to pay for their Part D deductibles, co-pays, and or co-insurance. And in fact, we'll stop right here, because if you go to the IRS code 502, it paints a very broad brush to the qualified medical expenses, QMEs, that are eligible to be pulled out of our MSA account that are not covered under Part A and Part B, in addition to what's available there on the Part A and Part B. However, the funds used to pay for these expenses will not count towards your Lasso plan deductible. Okay, so if it's Part A and Part B, those expenses reduce my deductible and will reduce my deposit. If I choose to pay a copay on a pharmaceutical, which is a Part D benefit, that money will come out of my MSA account, but it will not reduce my deductible. Same as if I go to the chiropractor. If I go to the chiropractor, that is a qualified medical expense to come out of my MSA. That will reduce the amount of money inside my MSA deposit, but it will not reduce my deductible because it is not a qualified expense under Part A or Part B. Only Medicare Part A and Part B qualified expenses count towards your Lasso deductible. The member may not pay the premium on a PDP plan with the MSA funds on a tax-free basis. Taxes and penalties would apply if I took money out of my account to pay for any premium with the exception, one and only one, and that is an individual long-term care policy that I've got on myself. That is the only premium that can be paid out of my MSA and be tax-free by IRS code. Okay? So we get this question a lot. Can I pay my PDP premium or take it out? The answer is no. No ancillary product premium. I can do the copays. That's a legitimate expense, but not the premium. The only premium, again, long-term care. So important question and some important distinctions. I get this a lot as well. Is the deposit an annual deposit or a one-time deposit? And this is, by CMS rule, an annual deposit. Whatever funds that we have inside our account on 12/31, on December 31st, will be added to the deposit made on January 2nd. January 1 being a national holiday, January 2nd is the day that they've been funded. So whatever's left over on 12/31 is simply going to be added to on January 2nd. And now I have a new balance that I can utilize for my deduct or out-of-pocket exposure for Parts A and Parts B going forward up until my deductible. I've seen numbers where I think it's going to turn out. I can almost tell you for certain, I know with certainty, with a little bit of certainty, that the deposit is going to be more next year for 2020 than it was in 2019. Obviously, the deductible is going to go up as well. I understand that the deposit's going to be is going to outpace the deductible. In other words, the difference between the deposit and the deductible for 2020 is going to shrink a little bit off that 4180. It's all good news. Okay, if the member leaves the plan, okay. In the event that, say, for example, I live in Macon County, Illinois, where I can have an MSA account, and I move to Orange County, California. Orange County, California. California does not have the Lasso product. And let's say the deposit was an even $3,000 and I left on the last day of June. It's just for simplicity reasons. I have accrued money from 2019 into 2020, and the money that I've accrued in the previous year still remains with me. But in the event that I leave midway through a year in which a deposit was made for the entire year, I will owe back to Lasso a certain amount of those funds. And in the case if I left the last day of June, I would owe them back 50%, July through December, of whatever the deposit was for that year. Again, everything that I've accrued in previous years remains in my account, as well as what I've accrued between January and the end of June. I owe them back what I did not use and will not be available in California. I owe them their deposit back that they made for July 1 through December 31st. So as we accrue the monies over the years, they stay there. On the year that I leave, I will owe them whatever percentage based on the number of months that I had the plan. It will all be divided out, but they will figure it out and how much money is owed back. At the point of death, also, that will be if a beneficiary passes away, say December 1st of any given year, they will owe 1/12 of that deposit of that year back to Lasso, and which goes back to CMS actually. 11/12 of that deposit plus any of the previous years will remain under the control of the beneficiary of that account. Okay, any questions there, folks, that we can clean that up? Okay, all right, we'll just keep going. Here's a question that we get a lot. Can a member contribute to an MSA bank account? The short answer is no. The member is not allowed to contribute to the MSA account per IRS rules. Just real quick, they allow MSA rules when they originally came out back in the 90s, only allowed for one contributor. Once Lasso puts money inside the bank account on your beneficiary's behalf, it freezes the account from any additional MSA contribution. Now, in some cases, we have people out there that have had an MSA in the past and have had some funds from a previous MSA account. Those two accounts can be joined, MSA to MSA. There are people out there that have HSAs, health savings account. Those monies cannot be commingled. The HSA account needs to stay right where it's at in an HSA qualified account, and the MSA must stay in its own account. Both have some tax advantages. Both have different tax advantages. Both have different consequences coming out. That's why they cannot be commingled. MSA to MSA, the HSA must remain separate, okay? But under either of those circumstances, when you're on an MSA account, no further contributions can be made to the HSA on your behalf or the beneficiary's behalf personally, or the MSA account. So I hope that's clearer than it seemed to me. Okay, what happens to the MSA funds upon death of the MSA plan member? If the member should pass away during the plan year, the deposit would go to their beneficiary, which could be either a spouse or some other designee. The plan is required to collect any unearned deposit amounts for the current calendar months following a member's death. Any remaining funds would be passed to the named beneficiary. If the beneficiary is a spouse, there would be no tax implications. If the beneficiary is not the spouse, ordinary income would apply subject to IRS rules. Custodial fees would be charged after the death by Optum Bank. However, the account could also be moved to a custodial account of the beneficiary's choosing. So in other words, if both husband and wife have an MSA account, okay, it is set up now where if my spouse dies, what is earned deposit in my spouse's account can be rolled into my account, is what they're basically telling us there. If it passes from one generation to the next or another designee other than myself, there would be taxes, or it would be a taxable implication at that particular point. What I wanted to do is I wanted to bring out everybody that has sold sold a MSA recognizes this Optum Bank page. If you've done one by paper or if you've done one electronically, this is exactly what it looks like. I just wanted to go through it real quick. It's kind of C-spot run material in the top section: name, rank, and serial number, address, date of birth, social security number, country of citizenship, residency status. The one question I get a lot is, by signing below, I appoint Lasso Healthcare as the agent for the purpose of opening and administrating a Medicare Advantage medical savings account. Yeah, right there where Jason is underlying. I've had people that have put in Optum Bank, but it's actually Lasso Healthcare goes inside that little space right there. You acknowledge in those little bitty boxes on the left hand on those 6 or 8 different questions right there. You acknowledge it, you accept those, and you sign at the bottom. And basically this will be the forerunner of beginning the ball rolling of your Optum Bank account. Anywhere within, I tell people between 7 to 10 days, Optum Bank account will send you your Optum Bank account card. You'll get a welcome letter that will come under separate cover. The bank card comes from a different division. So again, you're going to be getting some information. I tell everybody to open everything when it comes to Optum Bank, whether it's a new fund being available or just some additional information on their privacy laws. It's all information that we really need to have. So again, we'll open it up for questions. Do we have any questions out there? All right. Do we have anything, Jason?
I have a question.
Sure.
This Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi. Hey, would it be wise if someone left a Medicare supplement plan for an MSA plan?
I would tell you it depends upon their health, Jenny. It really does. If I'm okay, a couple of scenarios, and we'll talk real quick here. If I'm healthy, CMS tells us that 25% of the adult population, 65 and over, spend less than $500 a year on their health care, Jenny. And that's
Okay.
not because they're afraid of the doctors, because they're healthy. That is a perfect candidate to have an MSA product. My own parents, 84 and 82 years old, their premium was getting up to about $8,000 combined for a Plan F. Well, if you combine the savings of $8,000 in premium, Jenny, that we didn't send to an insurance company, again, zero premium, and I get $2,520 for my dad, $2,520 for my mom. They were both in Region 1. So what I saved them in premium plus the deposit equaled their out-of-pocket exposure for parts A and B. Like my dad said, it was a no-brainer, okay? He quickly figured out on a yellow sheet that he was going to take control of his money. Now, they knew they're going to have claims, but they also knew that if they had a good year, that they're going to save some of that $13,000 that we put back into their pocket. Both of those scenarios, Jenny, would be a great opportunity to buy a Lasso Health MSA healthcare plan.
Okay, so it depends on if they're healthy or not, right?
I would say so, and their age. So, I mean, I've got people that are telling me that, man, they're paying up to $350 a month for their Plan F or any Medicare plan. They can't move. Of course, just multiply the numbers out, 12 times 350, and you get to a number that's going to exceed what your out-of-pocket exposure is between the deposit and the deductible.
Okay.
Let them have control of their account. But that's when healthcare in America is really going to start seeking a better level than where it's at today, is when we become more consumer advocates for our healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Jimmy. Yes, sir.
Jason.
Jason. Hello, Jason.
Isaac here.
Isaac, how are you doing, Isaac?
Good. Perfect timing for today's webinar. I'm going to go see a beneficiary later on this afternoon, and this is perfect today. But I got a question. The beneficiary was late in his enrollment to Part B. So he's 66 years old, so he'll have an effective date of July 1st of 2019. Will he be eligible to get into this plan?
Yes, he will. If that's his initial, coverage election period, he will be granted a opportunity to
Right.
get it. Now, Isaac, I would tell you to get that done before July 1st.
Right. We're going to meet today.
Okay. Yep.
And basically, he's in excellent health.
It's a derivative of his Medicare card. If it'll tell you when the Part B effective date, if it says 7/1 of 2019.
Yes, that's what it says.
Get him in there. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. Good to go.
Awesome.
And there won't be no penalty, right?
No.
Okay.
Nope. He will not get 100% of the 25/20. When we talk about the annual deposit, that's based on a full year. Here's a perfect example. July 1, he will receive 25/20 minus $210 for every month that he was not in there.
Right.
I believe that would be right at 50% of what's in the account.
His only penalty is going to be because he missed his Part B enrollment. That's it, 10%.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's what I was getting at. Thanks.
Of course, the Part D plan as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah. I know that the traditional long-term care premium is a qualified expense.
Yes, sir.
What about premiums that if you have a money guard or something from One America? John Hancock has a nice life policy that's eligible for, it leverages for long-term care. Are any of those considered qualified?
They're not, sir. They're not.
Okay.
They're not.
And then what else, you mentioned something that I missed totally. You said shrinking the 4180. In other words, the 4180 difference is going to be different the next year.
Yeah. What I meant by that, Jim, is for 2020, I've got it on pretty good authority that the deposit is going to be.
Oh, it's going to go up?
Or then the deductible is going to go up. Does that make sense? Yes. And
Oh,
so
okay.
that 4180, it won't be 4180 next year. It may be 4150 or 4100 or whatever those two numbers are. I know that they've got a couple of different scenarios filed right now with CMS, and CMS is going to be the final determining factor of that. So
Okay.
I think everybody's going to be happy, quite honestly.
So the deductible's going up, but the
Deposits going up as well.
deposit's going up.
Oh,
Okay.
Yep. If everything happens like I heard it last week, yes. So
Okay.
I'll let everybody know when we can come out with this. So you believe me, we'll be beating.
I'll be glad when, because I've got one of those access to those typical charges based on codes.
Yes.
It is so complicated. I couldn't even begin to
Yep.
figure it out. So I thought, boy, it'd be nice if someone says, well, how much is an MRI?
Yep.
I have no idea.
Yep. And again, if you saw the list of it's MRIs with contrast, without contrast, in color, out of color.
It's impossible to determine.
It's crazy. It's crazy. When somebody calls me up and says, can you find something on what's a Medicare approved amount for an MRI? It literally, we can pick one of a few thousand MRIs actually. So we try to give a general range.
Do we have a feel for what an MRI typically?
It's all over it's all over the board,
Oh,
Jim. But I would tell you that it's anywhere from a couple $100 to,
really?
yeah. It's not. We would have to get more specific, but the ones that I've gotten numbers back on have not been the ridiculous numbers that we see out there that are billed charges. Again, I think a year from now, again, the networks are going to be. It's a huge selling point at this point when we talk to people. When I talk to brokers that are selling this product, that no network it quickly floats to the top. As we become more knowledgeable with this MSA and the workings of the Medicare approved amount, I think that Medicare approved amount is going to rival the no deductible as being the most important piece. The reason is, I mean, now we can't say this going out, but most of the bills that I have seen come in, the difference, it's been about a 90% shrinkage. Now you can't say that to the customer. It's because, again, it depends on the bill charges. The Medicare approved amount is static. It always kind of remains the same. So it depends upon what those bill charges are that would determine what that reduction is. But what I will tell you is this, that $2,520 deposit in 2019 is buying a whole lot more claims than $2,520 of billed charges. A lot of times we hear people that say, well, I've got to go and have a sleep apnea test. They know that an overnight stay is a couple $1,000 and they think they're going to go rifling right through that money, not understanding that they get that Medicare approved amount. So it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for us to up our level of knowledge, as well as the knowledge of our beneficiaries. So.
Question, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Jason. So I know that I guess we all know that when one joins the Medicare Advantage plan, you have the preventive wellness zero premium charge with your doctor. They don't, for the full, they give you the whole 360 exam and so forth, right? How is that going to be with Lasso Healthcare?
Okay, good. Okay, here we go. There can be by CMS rules, no claims that are going to be paid beneath that, whatever that deductible is. That even includes preventative care. There are no claims that are going to be paid. So Lasso has taken a 3-step solution to the idea of getting some preventative care. There is, and your people will receive a healthcare survey. And so basically they will fill out a health survey. I've seen them, they're 3 or 4 pages long. It takes about 15 minutes, talks about blood pressure, weight, anything that's going on with ourselves right now. If we send that back to Lasso, okay, Lasso will send us a $75 gift card just for mailing back the health survey. Now, if I take the next step, Isaac, and I go to my doctor for preventative care, okay, and I go get a battery of labs done, and I go get my annual physical, and he fills out some paperwork that's pertinent to him as well. This is all on the website, by the way.
Okay.
He fills out his requisite paperwork, and we mail that into Lasso as well. That will get us an additional $75 gift card. And if we put a proactive strategy together, for example, if I'm a senior and I've got high blood pressure and I'm 20 pounds overweight, and the doctor says, listen, if we just lose some weight here, I'm pretty certain that we can get you off this blood pressure medicine. Just a proactive plan. Lasso will then.
Yeah, I've seen it around here somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's on there. But Lasso will send you a $100 gift card as well for a grand total of $250 on 3 separate gift cards, total of $250. And although it's not meant to take the place of the cost of a physical, it is meant to entice people to go ahead and get the physical done. Jason, we're trying real hard here to put it up here. If we go to the members, go to members. And if we go towards the bottom, right there it says, go to the bottom in the middle. It says manage your health. Okay, here is the 3-step program, Isaac, we've got. For your health plan, all members will receive a For Your Health welcome kit with a welcome letter, instructions, forms to be completed. Okay, and you get, it basically does exactly what I just told you. The activities to be completed is a health survey, a lab certification, and your annual wellness visit certification signed by your doctor. Both part 2 and part 3 got to be signed by your doctor. And you can see that if you mail in the complete color-coded healthcare forms, reward will come in a provided envelope, will form in one of the provided envelopes. They'll process your gift card order. You repeat that process for all 3 to earn the $250 in total rewards. So if you need to have more of this information, simply go to lassohealthcare.com.
Right.
Click on the members, and you can get all of these in that whole section, Isaac, are members benefits right there.
Okay.
Whether it's getting help from an independent government organization, preparation for tax time, decisions and complaints, just everything. This is right where the members go. This is their mini portal, per se, that they can go to pay for health care, find a provider, request an additional ID. Yes.
And I may have missed it. I guess I lost the audio, but you mentioned something that there will be a charge for these services or not?
Yes, yes. If I'm going to my doctor, yes, I've got to pay for that. I got to pay for the visit.
Okay.
I've got to pay for the lab works. Those are all dollars that are going to come out of my Optum Bank account deposit.
Okay, but then you get the gift card once completing the whole.
Exactly correct. Now, it's not going to be one-to-one, Isaac, but you get the idea of what Lasso's trying to do.
Right.
Promote preventative care. So it's not one-for-one, but it's close. So you can.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a doctor here, he's a really good friend of mine. We become good friends, golf buddies. We get together on a weekly basis, and he's going to be turning 65. And I just gave him a briefing of this, and he was sold on it right away. And he was, and he had never heard of it. I go, look, it's all Medicare approved. Yep. So I'm kind of putting something together for him because he wants to know about it as well.
Everybody in this community that we're in right now, the people out there selling it, you literally are on the cutting edge of a product that's been around for a long time. But in these 17 states that we currently have got going forward, there is no other product out there like it, folks. This is a cutting edge product. And we're encroaching on 45 minutes, which is about, if John Hockaday was in here, he'd be hitting me on the head. So we're scheduled for the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month. If you've got any additional questions, get them back to me or to Jason, and we'll get them answered on a one-by-one basis, and I'll give you a phone call, folks. We really appreciate everything you guys do for us. And if you ever need me, I'm on this end. And if I don't have the answer, we'll come up with it rather quickly. Okay?
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.